Assalamu alaikum. This is Mehnaz Akber Aziz with Live Talks. From negotiating peace agreements to promoting trade development, women ambassadors are playing their vital roles globally. Today, we are joined by one stellar ambassador who is the EU ambassador to Pakistan with over 30 years of diplomacy. So I welcome Her Excellency Riina Kionka, EU ambassador to Pakistan, who's been here since 2022 and has a lot of fan following. Besides that, she has done some tremendous work on many fronts. So today we are going to ask her about her experiences in Pakistan as well as her experiences in diplomacy and the future of EU. That goes without saying. So, Riina, what have your experience been in Pakistan?
Alaikum to start with, and thank you for having me on the show. My experience in Pakistan now, just over 3 years, has been fantastic. There have been ups, there have been downs. It's been professionally very satisfying, and personally satisfying also to learn about the country, to get to know the people, to work on the issues that are important to both of us.
Your first 14th of August, our Independence Day, you played the national anthem of Pakistan on the trumpet. So you trumpeted your way into our hearts, and you were all over the media. That was amazing. Can you tell us about your music aspirations and how did it feel when you did that?
Well, it was amazing, actually. I've played the trumpet since I was a child, and have been playing the whole time, all the way through. And I've always tried to bring it somehow into diplomacy as well, because it's a way to connect with people that has nothing to do with language or differences in culture, and it's a way, it goes to people's hearts, as you mentioned it. So this is something, an idea that my stellar communications team came up with even before I arrived. They had heard that I play the trumpet, and they made the suggestion that we do something on the occasion of 14th of August, and why not play the national anthem? And I was immediately in agreement. I started practicing well before I got here, and when we taped it, we taped the audio and then the video. And it went out. We put it out about 2 or 3 days before the 14th of August, so as not to compete with the national efforts in this direction. And I was blown away by the reactions that I got. You're right; it was all over the media. It was all the news channels. It was shared on social media, and it was to the point where I would go out onto the street and people would stop me and ask for selfies, and this was something unusual. You don't usually get stopped for selfies if you're a diplomat, and I felt that it did touch people. I got all kinds of fan letters also from just ordinary people who had seen it and liked it. Like they felt that. And it was intended as an expression of respect. And so that's how it was taken, and very glad for that.
And you're also known for your very interesting social media, reels and stories of travel, of eating food. And I would like to mention here your husband, Laurie Lipek, who accompanies you. And who also is from the diplomatic corps and has been ambassador to various countries such as United States, NATO, Ukraine, etc. So you make up a good team. So it seems that you're having a lot of fun, but I know because I work with you that behind all of that fun are some very challenging things to deal with. Let's talk about GSP Plus and where have we moved. And I would like to mention to the audience who would not know that the GSP Plus is special incentive arrangements from EU to Pakistan to get access to the EU markets. And in return, we have to uphold international conventions related to human rights, labor rights, environmental protection, and good governance. And with that, our exports have increased. But how do we balance it? It's not easy to do all of the, uphold all the promises that we make with the EU. So, Riina, I would like you to talk about this in detail. GSP Plus, challenges, and what did you achieve in these 3 years that you're here?
Yeah. Thank you, Mehnaz, for bringing up GSP Plus, because it is really the probably the most important program that we do together with Pakistan. I mean, there are lots of other things. The relationship is broad. We cover the waterfront. Basically, you name an issue, then we work on it. But GSP Plus is really at the center of what we work on and what I personally put my efforts into mostly as well. As you noted, GSP Plus is it's a trade scheme that is aimed at providing motivation and stimulus to sustainable development. Sustainable means in a human capital way, as well as environment and finance and so forth. What I consider to be maybe my added value to this whole program is that there's a lot of there's quite a wide understanding of the trade benefits, the economic benefits to Pakistan, but there's less focus been on the other side of the equation, which you alluded to, and those are the obligations that Pakistan has taken to implement in a real way these 27 international conventions in the 4 areas: human rights, labor rights, governance, and environment. And so that's been the real challenge. And so these two sides of the equation, the trade side, but also the human rights side, is at the center of what we work on. And this is why the EU delegation, together with our member states, we are very much, on a day-to-day basis, monitoring what's happening on the obligation side, especially on the human rights, which is where it is the greatest challenge lies, really, for Pakistan. We understand that the world doesn't change overnight, but the GSP Plus is a big chunk of change. It's something that the EU does happily, but also expects some more traction on fulfilling those international obligations.
Yeah, I think I really do appreciate the initiatives that you took on the human rights side and the meetings that you held with the right groups all along in your 3 years. That was remarkable. That keeps us on track. I mean, obviously, it's the responsibility of Pakistan after having signed the international obligations, but a little nudge here and a little nudge here, and give and take kind of a situation. It's remarkable what you did in your 3 years. Really, really appreciate Pakistani policy makers and Pakistani parliamentarians do appreciate your role in that. And one more very important thing, and I think it's very important for a young audience of this podcast, is the Erasmus Scholarship. And for the 4th year, Pakistan has bagged a large number. I think it's the number 1 on getting the most scholarships and 66% women. Can you please elaborate it and your role in it? What did you were you able to get more scholarships or what was your role in it?
Well, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's something I'm very, very proud of. It's as you said, it's the fourth year in a row. Pakistan, the most students that take part in this program around the world are Pakistanis. And it's a way of providing opportunities for youth. We do other things as well on technical and vocational education, but this is for those who are doing degrees abroad. They apply, and if they're successful, then they go to Europe for a year. And it's the Erasmus is not just about what they're learning in their university course. It's also about learning about what it's like in Europe. It's about making personal ties. It's about creating a network amongst themselves as well. There's one number of our member states have exchange programs in addition to the Erasmus Plus, but one of them has as its motto change through exchange. And I think that makes a big difference as well. Anybody who is also European students who have been on an Erasmus program always come back and say, you know, this opened my eyes. And I understand. I've grown in my tolerance. I understand different cultures better, and that's also a very important part of the program. And what the delegation has done, you say what I have done. Well, let me just say here, make the point because it's an important point. Foreign policy and diplomacy it's a team sport. So whatever we do as a team. I happen to be the face of the team, but everybody's doing their bit. We have done quite a bit more. If you will, advertising or promoting the program, the Erasmus possibilities in Pakistan in my time here. We had one very successful, I would say, initiative that was known as the Dosti truck. So we had a so we sent that truck. Many of you have probably seen videos of the truck, or my repairing the truck or driving the truck and so forth. It's a Pakistani truck that's decorated with EU themes, EU Pakistan bilateral relations. Very colorful pictures and so forth. And we sent it around the country, not once, not twice. I think we did it 3 times now. And that truck has a way of, winning people's hearts because it's something that's familiar to everybody. But it's also this roadshow that we did with the Dosti truck was focused on talking about Erasmus, and talking about those possibilities. So I think that has probably helped the number of excellent applications that have come from Pakistani students in the last 3 years.
Riina, you say that, obviously you're the face of the entire team and the EU delegation. But what I've seen as a change, I've been following you on social media, and that's very important for our youth. And we do want to take this, podcast towards the youth and mentoring the youth, and especially women. So coming back to the advertisement side, I think you have really reached out to the youth. You have brought them into the fold to understand EU and what EU has to offer to Pakistan, rest of the world, and for the youth of Pakistan. So I think that has been brilliant, and I hope it continues the way it is, because it is so energizing watching these videos. Even at my stage in life, I just wish that I could just, apply for that scholarship or just be on that Dosti truck. And I think that's been remarkable. That's been a remarkable initiative. So, Riina, one thing that we have been talking about, you and I, besides the work on the sides, is the gender. as you mentioned to me in one of our meetings, that the Estonian Prime Minister, Kala Kallas, she said good politics have nothing to do with gender. And I really want to talk you to talk about it. And she says that when it comes to men, we talk about abilities, but when it comes to women, it's all about the gender. And she emphasizes on continuing to wear the skirt. So, as a symbol. So what are your thoughts on it? Because when I see you the abilities, I don't see the gender.
Thank you. That's then it's then I'm doing something right, I would say. Yeah, I don't. I think that it's it's important to be the best you can, regardless of what you're, whether you're a man or a woman or elsewhere on the continuum. And this is something that I think is just it's more of a challenge sometimes for women because it's still very much a man's world out there. And somebody once told me that a woman has to be twice as good to get the same job, for instance, as a man, because there are certain discounts that are made for men. I think that's becoming less and less the case. But in Pakistan, this is a country where with about 20% of women in the labor force, which is really low. It's one of the lowest in the world. And what that means is that 80% of women are not being engaged in working on the economy, working, in science, in diplomacy, and so forth. And so it's just a missed opportunity for all societies, but especially in a place like Pakistan. So just a couple of days ago, we were at the end of June, we were celebrating the International Day of Women in Diplomacy, and the UNDP did a lovely little social media campaign featuring some women leaders, both Pakistanis and foreigners, and I was one of them. And each of us was asked to say a few words or give a kind of a quote on our thoughts on the matter. And mine was, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And the point of that is, if you don't see women leaders in positions of responsibility, of authority, of leadership, then young people, young women and men, don't see themselves in the picture, and so they can't imagine it. And that's why representing is so important. And so Kaja Kallas, the prime minister, when she said that, was making the point, some 20 years ago. I remember when I started 30 years ago, if you were a woman in this field, then it was expected that you were kind of an honorary man in your appearance. For instance, we were all wearing trouser suits and that, the shoulders and so forth. But in wearing dresses, she's saying, that's irrelevant. Look at what's going on in my head. Look at what's coming out of my mouth. That's what you should be focusing on. And I completely agree. So Kaja Kallas happens now to be my boss. So she's the EU's High Representative and Vice President for foreign security policy. And so obviously she's doing something right.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on what you have referred to as the 20%, female labor force inclusion. Actually, we are in Pakistan contending that because there are much more women, many more than what are accounted for. Our data sets are very faulty. So we are looking at that, the parliamentary Special Committee on Gender Inclusion is looking at that, and the National Commission on Status of Women is looking at that. But I know in what reference you talked about it, and we are, we really do need to work very hard, and we need to, as you said, that you need to be seen. So we need many women in positions where we can see them and hear them, and especially in diplomacy. So you're talking about your bosses here. A little bit about EU and its engagement globally. So what is the future of EU and its engagement, and especially its engagement with Pakistan?
Well, I mentioned, and back to the point that you just made, Mehnaz, I'm very happy to be proven wrong on those statistics, and I would be delighted to see better numbers on that. So thank you for correcting that. The EU is, as I mentioned earlier, we covered the waterfront as far as bilateral relations with Pakistan. We don't only just work on trade and trade and human rights questions, but we work together with Pakistan on climate, on migration, on counterterrorism, security issues, you name it. That's what we're working on. And the point that I often make to my interlocutors in this country is that the EU is your reliable partner. It's your we're steadfast. We're here for the long haul. We are interested as an EU in a stable and prosperous Pakistan that works for everybody. Where the state is able to bring everybody along. That's the point, because this is a tricky region, which we have seen really on both sides of the border in the last few months. And that's, we're interested in Pakistan's playing a stabilizing regional role, but also on Pakistan itself developing in a way that is effective for people. So I don't see any change on that in the future. As I said, the EU is here for the long run. We are committed. We are not the kind of group of countries that changes our mind sort of like overnight. If we commit to doing something, then we do it. The EU is, made up of 27 member states. We have a fairly complex governance structure. Who does what and who is competent to work on what. This is all agreed by the member states. It's a pooled sovereignty issue. But so what that means, because it's quite big and a bit cumbersome, is we're not particularly agile. We're not particularly quick. It's a little bit like an ocean liner. Moving an ocean liner is not so easy. But once we do decide to do something, then we see it through.
Riina, I also would like to mention here, which particularly I'm very interested in, is your program on women's political inclusion that you're rolling out. And how do you see it impacting the political landscape?
Well, we would hope with this program to we're just rolling it out, as you said, and the idea is to strengthen the capacity of women's caucuses in the Senate, National Assembly, and the provincial assemblies. And the whole idea is to make going into politics and being effective in politics not easier, but more, make it easier for women to do that, make it more attractive for women to be part of the decision-making process, the legislative process. And that's based on the understanding, and this is backed up by empirical evidence as well, that if you have more women around the table, the decisions come out a little bit different, and they're more gender sensitive. The budget is even more gender sensitive. And this is, as I said, this is the numbers show this. There have been study after study that demonstrate that when you have women as part of the process, the political process, as part of a peacemaking process, then you have more sustainable solutions, because the needs of the entire population are taken into account. Often, decisions don't look at problems through a gender lens at all, and you'd be surprised. Well, you wouldn't be surprised, but because I know you work on this a lot. But people who haven't thought about this, it opens their eyes when you talk about very kind of. It could be a minor question. I'll bring one example that somebody quoted to me a couple of years ago, that there was a program, planning program for snow removal in a country in the northern hemisphere, that one city council was drafting, and the hope was to stop people breaking bones when they would walk on icy sidewalks. And they rolled out this program of who would which streets, which areas of the city would be cleared of ice and snow first. It's not maybe a good example for Pakistan because it doesn't really, except in the north. But they rolled it out, and the numbers didn't change. So there were still the same number of broken bones each winter. And then somebody came upon the idea of, well, why don't we ask the women what they think and what could be better. And they discovered that there were certain paths that women would take to go to the grocery, to go shopping. And once they started clearing those paths first, the number of broken bones suddenly dramatically dropped. This is just an example of how something you would never think about could have a gender, an implication. Actually does. And so when you have more women around the table, you have women as part of decision making, as part of the parliamentary process, then you get decisions and policies that make sense for everybody. That's the point of our support to women parliamentarians.
Riina, I think a good example would have been the flood situation in Pakistan, which you really helped out. You were out there. I saw a lot of videos, and I was following you again. I think that you really supported Pakistan during the recent floods as well. Do you want to comment on that? What did you learn out of that?
Well, that happened. Yes, thank you for bringing it up. I'm quite proud of how we managed on the EU side for that. That's the EU and the member states together at the end of the day pledged very close to €1 billion. It was, I think, 900 million euros to mitigate the effects of the disaster. This happened just as I arrived. So I arrived in June 2022, and that was when the rains began, the monsoon and the gloughs and everything that was happening, to the point where 1/3 of the country was underwater at one point. I had a couple of commissioners come in here who wanted to see for themselves and brought some mitigating measures as well. But that's a very good point on as an example also of the gender lens, because there were hundreds of thousands of women who were pregnant, who were about to give birth. Yes. During this situation, to say nothing about schools being closed and the importance of kids being in school. Like 25, 26 million children in this country don't go to school at all. and a whole bunch of them are women or girls. And without education, when you have schools closed because the schools are underwater, or you have women who are in terrible conditions and are about to give birth, then you do have to think about these things also from a gender perspective. So you are absolutely right. Thank you for bringing up that example.
Riina, you have proven through your extensive hard work, committed and dedication in the 30 years of diplomacy, that hard work pays off. So, just sort of recapping for our audience here of the podcast, that, you started with working with the Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And you also worked as a policy advisor to the President of the European Council. And before coming to Pakistan, you were the ambassador to South Africa. So I would really like you to advise our young women and men also who are entering into the diplomatic corps. And we hear and we see the numbers that are increasing. Women's numbers are increasing in Pakistan. So what are the key advices that you would give to the young generation or the youth who are entering the diplomacy arena?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to pass some messages. I have basically, I think, three pieces of advice that I would give. First is to never underestimate yourself. Be confident in your aspirations, and to set a goal and then move toward that. It may not exactly happen the way you want it to, and that's my second piece of advice. It may not happen at the time you want or the way you want, but if you have that goal in mind, then you will eventually get there if you work hard and you are ready to make lateral moves. So the second piece of advice is seize the moment. If something comes your way, an opportunity comes your way, it was not in your master plan, but it seems interesting. It seems like it could eventually give you more experience in something else that would lead you toward your goal, then absolutely take it. Career planning is a nice word, or nice two words, but it's rarely linear. A person's career is rarely goes from A to B with a straight line. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways, and part of that is part of the reason it's like that is that you can't plan to the nth degree. You have to seize those opportunities that do come, even though you maybe never thought of it before. So that's my second piece of advice. And my third piece of advice would be and it's especially for women, is to grow a thick skin.
Okay.
Don't try to avoid taking things personally. If all kinds of boundaries of diplomatic and courtesy have been violated, then obviously you have to take a stand. You have to stand up for yourself because nobody else is going to do that. You have to do it. But it's also helpful to take things with a grain of salt, maybe some pink Himalayan salt, and not let it get to you. So that's where thick skin is quite useful.
Thank you, Riina Kionka, the EU ambassador to Pakistan. You're setting sails to your next destination, that is Brussels. Here, I would like to add that Pakistan's public, Pakistan's people really appreciate the friendship, the partnership with the EU. And it really makes a difference what the face of that partnership is. And you've really, really made a big difference. And I'm happy that you're leaving your Dosti truck behind. Anything that you need to say or you want to say?
Just बहुत शुक्रिया. I will forever hold Pakistan in my heart.
Thank you so much. Pakistan Hamisha Zindabad.